the little bit of a video session. What was your goal today? What was kind of your plan to have your guys ready for the on ice tomorrow?
Well, there was a few things. One, we wanted to bring them back to their work environment. We didn't want to overtax them. We wanted to discuss where we were as a team and talk about being energized. And as we go forward now, tomorrow's a big practice day for us. We have to have the right frame of mind, and we have to have the right frame of body, if you will. And it's time to get back to work. And there aren't any excuses following this. We'll be fully rested. We'll have taken the necessary time to recover and get some of the bumps and bruises mended up. And then with that said, we've got to repair our game, and that'll take place in practice tomorrow. Following that, the guys went and had a workout, which is important. They haven't had a lot of time to spend in the gym. And they have a busy day today. They'll go from there out to visit some of the children that are in the hospital at this time of the season. And for me, that really uplifts the spirit. It makes you feel good as a human being. And our players donate their time a lot to the community, and I think that helps recharge just their mental batteries as well.
You use the word repair. I guess that begs the question, what's in most disrepair right now when it comes to the game?
Well, just our overall game. When you've had as little practice time as we've had, we need to talk about face-off coverages, face-off execution. That's where the game starts. But then from there, all three zones, special teams, I still think that we need to get better in our end and coming into our zone, managing that part of it. And as you get better as a team, game management comes into play, and you have to find ways to win when it's not going well for you. You have to find ways to win when maybe there is a fatigue factor. You have to find ways to win when a potential call doesn't go your way, or a star player or two maybe isn't carrying the team that night. And I think we have a long way to go as a team in that area. And that's some of that's experience, some of that's growing as a group. Other parts of it is valuing those areas defensively, understanding that you don't get a goal or an assist or a point individually for playing solid D-zone coverage as a group of five. But it can lead to the other end and having those individual rewards. But we have to value that as much as we do the offensive marks on a score sheet.
You talked a lot at the start of the year, Todd, and made it known to your guys how important the start was. And your team responded, had a great start. I know it's only a 4-game stretch, but after this 3-day break, can you talk about the importance of these 4 games to kind of end what is kind of the quasi-halfway point of the season strong?
Well, they're all, what's unique about these games is once we get through them, you're going to ask me the question about coming back right after and how important is the start. They're all, they're all of equal value. It's where you are in your ebbs and flows as a team that makes it a little more critical. And we haven't been able to string a number of wins together, and that's certainly the goal that we'll have heading into the Christmas break. When we're finally done in San Jose, you'd like to think that you'll leave there feeling good about your game individually and collectively, and the points will go into the bank. But I can tell you, as soon as that ends, we'll get back here on the 26th. You guys will be asking me the same question about starting again. And then as the new year rolls around, when you're in the playoff race and the playoff hunt, every game's essential and important, and trying to get on a streak. And that's where we are now. We put ourselves in a good position. We'd like to continue to grow that and obviously get better. But closing that last little gap is one of the toughest things this organization will have to face, and that's where we are right now.
You had mentioned that earlier. Your team didn't know how to deal with success, hadn't had a lot of it. You're right in the mix now, later than a lot of this group has ever been before. What have you sensed from your team that makes you believe you'll be able to handle it and stay competitive through the end of the season?
Well, I believe we're deeper now than we were last year, just on a player personnel. From a player personnel perspective, we need to get healthy, which we're working our way towards. And then we get a little practice time. The players are further into the program, and they've been, they've been able to graduate. We've been able to add more to it, whether it's on special teams or face-offs, those types of things. So I think there's signs pointing to growth. The experience, the mental experiences I talked about earlier of dealing with situations and game management, that has to be getting better just over time. So there are a number of areas we've improved in. But I told the players this a few days ago, that the final little bit, whether it's defensively, offensively, overall, is the toughest gap to close. That is the most fine portion of our game that has to get tight, and it can't just happen for 2 games. It has to happen for the next 40 games. And based on my experience, that's the toughest little bit to finally put away and put into the bank. And we'll have guys that will fight it a little bit. We'll have guys that will embrace it. It's a matter of getting them all together and finally getting them over the hump.
You talked about discussing where you guys are at as a team. Like, you're right in the middle of the mix. At the same time, it's like 3 wins in 11 games, but you're still grinding out. Are you generally happy or a little bit concerned about where you are right now?
Well, we're coaches. I don't think we're ever happy.
Right.
So that kind of answers that question. There's different ways you can use numbers.
Right.
You said 3 wins in 11 games, or you can say points in whatever. You take what you can get, you grind it out. We're disappointed that we gave up some leads. We're also happy that when we were tired, we were able to come back in some games. I think of the Minnesota game in particular, to get a point. So with our group, we're making strides. That's the important thing. The curve is, the needle's going forward. Sometimes it takes a little dip, but it is going forward. And our start perhaps set us up for some realistic, unrealistic expectations. I had one of the media guys mention to me that maybe 50 to 52 wins was, potential, and that would put us probably in first in the President's Trophy, and that would be great, but I don't think that's realistic. We are what we are, and we're trying to improve slowly.
With a few days off, you had extra time to evaluate and look at things. With your even strength scoring's in a little bit of a funk right now. Your power play's being great. Have you contemplated switching up some guys? Nugent Hopkins and Eberle have had great success in the past, but can't seem to get going offensively. Leon's played with everybody and performed well. Have you thought of an Eberle Draisaitl or other combinations?
There are, everything's on the table right now. We get a chance now to regroup, and I'd like to see our group fresh and see what they can do. We look at chances, not only the actual goals, but the chances that are being created. And Eberle, Nugent Hopkins, and Patty Maroon actually had probably the most opportunity to score the other night. I thought they were our sharpest line offensively. We're struggling at times to find Connor and Luch somebody to play with. Pinch hitters seem to go in there and play well for a few nights, and then when you think it's finally there, it falls off. And then finding Leon somebody consistently to play with on his line has been a tough one as well. We're still waiting for Pooh to get himself going and being productive, and just when he shows you signs, he's close, and then he takes a step back. So there's some individuals we have to get going, and we'll continue to look at combinations.
When you mention McDavid and Lucic, if you look historically, Getzlaf and Perry, lots of other duos could never find a consistent trio. Is that just part of it maybe, and that you'll always have a little bit of a rotation there rather than a steady guy?
Well, you'd like to find a steady guy. There's no doubt about it, but I think there are rotations. When it doesn't go well, you tend to keep pairs together and pull somebody off, and it's just, I don't know if all coaches do that. I know a lot of guys I've been around do. You try and keep a little familiarity and then find somebody else. But, it's easier when some of the guys you're expecting to perform at a high level and produce are doing that, because then you've got pieces you can move around. When you're trying to get 2 or 3 of them up and running, it gets limited pretty quick.